The revolution's begun. The time to stand up has come. We are the rocking of the throne. We are the rocking of the throne.
My name is Victor Tiffany with Revolt Against Plutocracy. For a longer introduction, see the beginning of my interview with Howell Underground in the description below. Claims of fact in this video will be accompanied by corresponding footnotes that you see on the screen. This is part 2 of a message to Sanders supporters. A link to part 1, How Bernie Got Screwed, is again in the description below. The notion that Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy in the United States ignores the myriad ways in which Biden's record as vice president and senator indicates that while Trump is a threat to this election, objectively viewed, Biden is, on the whole, the greater of two very dangerous candidates. How can that be? Let me explain. I'm going to begin by referencing a lot of material from Euro-Yankees Post, Why Trump is Not the Most Dangerous President, as Bernie Sanders repeatedly claims. Obama-Biden administration expanded Bush's 2 wars into 7 wars. Trump is the first president since Jimmy Carter to not have started a new war. Obama-Biden broke records, harassing and spying on journalists. Obama-Biden invoked the Espionage Act 8 times. Trump, not once yet. Obama-Biden built the cages holding immigrant children. Obama-Biden first separated immigrant children from their mothers. Obama-Biden introduced the use of tear gas on the border and continued to use it every month thereafter. Obama-Biden are aligned with a neoliberal empire and a deep state in a way that Trump certainly is not. Obama-Biden repressed the Occupy Wall Street encampments around the country, thereby demonstrating to Trump how to suppress populist movements like Black Lives Matter. Obama-Biden repressed the water protectors during DAPO protests. Obama-Biden added enough oil and gas pipelines to circle the earth and back some, as Barack Obama stated. Obama-Biden had U.S. citizen assassinated by way of predator drone without a whiff of due process, something the Euro-Yankee didn't mention in his piece. Imagine the shitstorm that would happen if Trump had done something like that. Obama-Biden pushed the Trans-Pacific Partnership, an historically unprecedented corporate power grab. Almost no one in the media is talking about this, not even the independent media. This is an existential threat posed to democratic order, American manufacturing jobs, U.S. sovereignty, and the Constitution. Again, a link shows to that interview with Howell Underground, how the outsourcing of American jobs leads to more structural racism under free trade agreements, how the TPP would replace democratic self-government with corporate self-government, how the TPP would replace treaty-protected national self-determination with transnational corporate determination, how the TPP would transcend U.S. sovereignty by way of private tribunals that the Supreme Court, nor Congress, nor the President could overrule, and how the Trans-Pacific Partnership would accelerate climate change. The Obama-Biden TPP, a New World Order, Biden's phrase, is one of the greatest threats to this constitutional republic, third only to nuclear war with Russia and China in the short run, and climate change in the long run. The Obama-Biden TPP, like Trump's USMCA, would violate the Commerce Clause of the Constitution. Biden proudly wrote the Privacy Invasion Patriot Act. Biden supports cuts to Social Security and Medicare. Pay more attention to what politicians have done rather than what they say in order to get elected. Because like Trump, Biden is also a pathological liar. Don't confuse Trump's revolting style and egomaniacal manner with Biden's pernicious and dangerous substance. Substance trumps style, no pun intended. From the left case against supporting Joe Biden in the general election by Benjamin Studebaker, the descendant of the car manufacturer, is this. The Democrats are a big part of how we got to where we are. And if we think that the Republicans are authoritarian nationalists, it is the Democrats who have encouraged them to become that way. The ordinary American cannot look to Democrats to resist the ravenous elite. They look to nationalist firebrands of the right. The Democratic Party is the party of Ivy League technocrats who scorn them and tell them to learn to code. Joe Biden solidifies all this all over again. He is the embodiment of keeping things exactly the way they've always been. The American people have always been bludgeoned for 40 years by oligarchs. They can't take it anymore. They'll vote for anyone who promises to make it stop. If the Democrats won't stop it, they'll vote for someone who will. The next Republican will be worse than Trump, and Joe Biden will make it happen if given the chance. The left hopes that replacing Trump with Biden will buy the left time, but Biden will pack his administration with a whole new generation of vulgar careerists. It'll be these people, not the left, who inherit the Democratic Party when he leaves. They will have the institutional knowledge and connections and access to money that are needed for success in American politics. They will continue servicing the oligarchs, and the Republican Party will respond by growing ever more bellicose, ever more grandiose, ever more willing to tear the whole thing down. Biden will accelerate the rise of new nationalist figures who might be able to do all the things that Trump can't even dream of doing. End quote. It is Biden, not Trump, who poses a greater threat to organized resistance against the neoliberal order of corporate greed, to what remains of democratic order, to the republic, and even to the climate. Biden is suffering from some form of cognitive decline. You hear analysis of Trump's mental state all the time, but mainstream media is mum, even deceitful, about what Biden is clearly experiencing. The alliance between the Democratic Party establishment and the partisan mainstream media, CNN, NBC, CBS, ABC, PBS, New York Times, Washington Post, and reader-supported news, makes Biden's corporate agenda more dangerous than Trump's agenda. With Trump, they're in constant alarm status. But with Obama-Biden, they just let their corporate priorities and empire building slide. In fact, they'll encourage new wars because that's good for media profits. That alone makes Biden more dangerous than Trump. Trump is the greater verbal racist, no question about that. But it's Biden's 1994 crime bill that deepened structural racism in the United States by far. Trump signed the First Step Act, which reduced some of Biden's worst injustices toward Black and brown Americans. It's Biden who's the greater structural racist by far. Biden plans to increase military spending even further than Trump has. What about the SCOTUS picks, you ask? Trump's picks will continue to be awful, but can you trust a status quo preserving, devout Catholic to nominate a judge committed to protecting a woman's reproductive rights? Can you really? Voting for Biden to protect Roe versus Wade will throw American workers, democratic self-government, U.S. sovereignty, and the Constitution under the bus for the baseless hope that Biden's Supreme Court nominees will be progressive in any way. They won't be, not based on everything Biden has said and done for the last 45 years. He says he'll nominate a Black woman, which privileges identity politics over political ideology. Biden needs to name prospective nominees before he can even be considered any better in this regard than Trump. Finally, if Biden is elected, the resistance movement mobilized to stop Trump will demobilize and stay home, while Biden pushes the Trans-Pacific Partnership and other right-wing policies through Congress. Liberals have not yet recognized the fascistic qualities of the neoliberal establishment in the Democratic Party. The embedded fascism of the TPP is also explained in the interview with Howell. The Trump resistance won't like having to remain alert and poised to protest again and again, but that's what this country needs. People in the streets, obstructing corporate priorities, engaging in wildcat and national strikes, fighting tooth and nail against caging children, against new pipelines against white nationalist fascism rather than relaxing, while Biden advances all that in Wall Street's agenda. Defeating Biden and all future neoliberal Democrats is the only way the party's suburban voters will eventually figure out that if they want to defeat Republican candidates, they have to nominate a progressive candidate that the base of the party can enthusiastically get behind. For more on why Biden would be worse, especially for poor and working class, than any other candidate, see Howell Underground's episode 413 posted on August 8th. Crystal Ball recommends On the Hills the Rising, leaving the first line of the ballot blank, but that's a mere protest. To have a revolutionary impact in an oligarchy screaming for revolutionary change, to address growing fascism and climate change, voting third party is a better way to send a message. Don't be a neoliberal asset. Don't be a neo-fascist asset. Don't vote for evil. I'm voting for Hawkins Walker 2020 because I can't support Biden's New World Order or Trump's white nationalism. Thank you.
Revolt Against Plutocracy won't just be covering the news about the necessary revolution in the United States. Sometimes we'll be making the news. If you want to stay on top of the revolutionary actions and strategies of grassroots, genuine progressives, and our allies, please subscribe to our YouTube channel today.